Hey guys, Jen Loves Wrestling here. Hope you are having a great day. Hope you are all staying happy, healthy, and safe. We're going to get right down to it because we got a lot to cover. This was a big week for WWE. I think it was a really solid, fun, really strong week for them. A lot of great action just throughout the week, starting with NXT UK on last Thursday. Obviously, when I say week, I mean since I do my videos on Wednesday, I'm covering the stuff from the day after to the day before, which was yesterday's NXT show. But we're going to start out, we're mostly going to talk about Raw and NXT. But I do want to mention some fun stuff we had going on overseas on NXT UK and then also on 205. So NXT UK saw a very fun, interesting, competitive match between Noam Dar and Kenny Williams in the number one contenders Heritage Cup tournament. I really liked this match. It was heel on heel, and they really pushed that to the fullest potential. This was a match of them trying to one-up each other, trying to out-dirty each other, and it just made for a really fun, interesting, exciting contest. And then you pile on top of that, not only the story as I'm talking about, but the fact that we have two amazing wrestlers in there. This one was a must-see in my opinion, so I highly recommend checking that out. And Pretty Deadly also picked up the win and retained against Gallus. On to 205, we had Trey Baxter defeat Andre Chase, which I'm a really big fan of both these guys, so this match just in general was a treat for me. I am more of an Andre Chase fan, but luckily for me and Trey Baxter fans as well, we got to see more of both these guys on NXT yesterday. So we'll get into that later. Let's hop over to Raw though, because this was actually one of the best episodes of Raw in a very long time. And it started off for me, the first really pop the crowd moment was, I think you guys might already know what I'm gonna say here because we all had the same reaction. The crowd, everybody sitting on their couch at home. That finish to the Orton AJ Styles match, with that fake out spot. We all just had the same reaction. That was so much fun. They did such a good job with that match, building to that spot, which was the height of the match, which took us into the finish, with Randy Orton obviously being able to capitalize and pick up the win there, but just brilliant stuff. Not that we should expect anything else from Randy Orton and AJ Styles, but they had a moment there, and it was very enjoyable. Speaking of having moments, Nia Jax versus Shayna Basler. Amazing match, because of the story they told in the ring. It started out with Nia. They're both heels going into it again, but Nia was kind of out-healing Shayna a bit with her confrontation and the things that she said in that match. This partnership was all me. Look how easy this is for me. And just egging on Shayna to the point where, the outcome was not, and I don't mean it in a bad way that it wasn't a surprise, but the story they tell made sense to where the outcome went with Shayna Basler picking up the victory. And I really like the story that they told in the ring, and I love the timing of this feud too. I feel like we've seen this coming in the previous weeks. They were starting to get involved in each other's business, and it was costing each other. But I don't think it overstayed its welcome either. I don't think it was to the point where this was going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Okay, we know the break is coming, just do it already. I think the timing was perfect on this. The story was very well told before the match and in the ring. And then after the match, we continued with not only the story, but really the most interesting part of this was Shayna Basler giving Nia Jax a brutal beatdown outside the ring, but also showing a bit of remorse. Not enough so to stop her, but definitely told the tale with her facial expressions and did a great job doing it. Because as we know from NXT, as we know from Monday Night Raw, Shayna Basler is not a character that shows remorse, but this was a dimension of maybe seeing something in herself when she was putting a severe beating on Nia and looking at Nia and realizing who Nia used to be to her, even though they never called each other friends, they were tag team partners, but it maybe got a little too real at some points for Shayna, but she she took care of business. So, yes, we'll see where this one goes. I'm excited to see it. And then the hits just keep on coming. The treats just keep on coming. And they just keep getting sweeter and sweeter. One of my favorite parts of Raw for quite some time now is Ali and Mansoor. And wow, what was I happy to see who they were facing. Not only do we get Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo back on TV, but the cousins reunited. They came out, and of course we're all thinking the same thing. This does not make sense as to where we left off with these guys. But there was definitely a long enough break in them being off TV, and they explained it in a promo that at the end of the day, they can beat each other up and wrestle each other, but they are family, and there is no team stronger. And they did prove it by picking up the win against Ali and Mansoor, my dudes. But couldn't even be mad at that because it was a great match, and I'm really just happy for Angel and Humberto because you can't bench these guys for too long. They're too good and too interesting, and I mean, we have two amazing competitors and a tag team division that could always use a little more oomph, and putting them together just made sense for me, and they picked up the win, so they're starting off hot, real good, love it. Nia Jax, Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley versus Natty and Tamina. This was okay. This one was crazy. Nikki and Rhea trying to make me cry twice in one segment. Okay, so before the match, that pre-match speech that Rhea gave, and Nikki, but Rhea was so visibly just... It was touching to see how real and organic and raw the emotions were there. She struggled to make it through the speech about Connor's cure and pediatric cancer. You could tell it was so hard for her. You could see it in her face. You could see it in her eyes, her voice. She had trouble getting the words out. There was one actually really, really touching. I mean, the whole thing was touching. But there was a very touching moment in there for me when Rhea was trying to go on as best and professional as she could. And she had trouble remembering what came next. And she was having trouble getting out the word fundraised, and she looked at Nikki, and you could hear Nikki say fundraised, and then Rhea was like fundraised, and she continued, and it was just nice that she could lean on Nikki Cross for that emotional support there. And she looked to the crowd who were cheering her on as well, so it was just all around, a lot of different things make that segment incredibly touching and beautiful and raw and emotional and organic, and you could really feel the emotion more or less than anybody, a lot of people just coming out and talking about pediatric cancer or about Connor's cure. There was something that I had never seen before with this segment, and Rhea has a heart of gold and is just the perfect person to do this. She made this feel like, just watch it. If you haven't watched it, please go back and watch that, because Rhea Ripley is a beautiful, wonderful person, and thank you so much for what you did there, Rhea. It was hard to get through. I seen that. It was hard to get through. We appreciate you staying strong, staying professional, and getting through that speech. They dedicated the match to everybody out there who supported the cause, everybody out there, the kids, the families who have been through this, and of course, they ended up winning the match and became new women's tag team champions. I am a gigantic Nikki Cross Ash fan, and Rhea, of course. So I love these ladies. I've been supportive of their tag team from the beginning. I think they're so cute together. I think Rhea looks at Nikki almost like a kid sister, and it's so cute. Like, their interactions together, I love it. I love them together, and this has been a beautiful story, and it culminated in them winning the titles. Big congratulations to those ladies. I couldn't be happier. I'm thrilled about that. That whole segment was unbelievable and so wonderful, and just thank you all for that. It was awesome. We needed a little bit of comic relief after that, though, because that was all very heavy, and we got it in the best way possible with the 24/7 segments. You gotta love them. This was just... I love Drew Gulak so much, and I cannot get enough of him and his promos, and anytime Drew Gulak has a mic, I'm excited. I miss the whole PowerPoint things. I've been a big fan of his since 205. And him trying to teach Reggie about Chinese medicine was one of the highlights of the night for me. And a laugh that came at the perfect time. So again, segment placement, very important. Gulak is a freaking rock star. This did not go his way. Reggie's still the champion. And then, of course, we keep going with the good stuff. The U.S. title scene stays hot with Jeff Hardy defeating Sheamus. Damian Priest was watching on from ringside and ended up getting into an altercation after with Sheamus. This scene is amazing. I love it. I love this U.S. title scene. It's so enjoyable. Let's move on. Oh, well, we had... one more thing, and then we're going to get to NXT, because I'm seeing now that we're going real long on this video. We still got to get to NXT. I apologize, guys. It's going to be another long one. Roman picks up the win against Lashley and Big E in one of the most Roman ways possible. And Lashley, in the most Lashley way possible, also attacking Big E. Not just attacking, but pounding and pounding and pounding him with a chair during their triple threat match. And Roman, of course, sneaks in with the spear in a very Roman way, capitalized for the 1-2-3. Roman Reigns wins that match. NXT, let's get there. Okay, so this one started with an amazing opening segment. You couldn't really have asked for anything better to take this NXT into a new direction, but still one of the face of the company, because he is the champion, Tommaso Ciampa, starting off with an amazing promo, just really pumping the fans up for what's to come, really gearing everybody up. There was actually a 2.0 chant from the crowd involving the new guys in the segments, in some of the already existing stars like Cameron Grimes. This was, Ciampa's promo part of this was the greatest part, but it also ended up setting up the main, Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne versus Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa. So this ended up, of course, with a lot of the new guys in the ring, Ciampa on the mic, guys like Cameron Grimes coming out, guys like Ridge Holland, Pete Dunne. Of course, you know, this ended in a melee. And the one cool thing about this, I mean, that's predictable, but the coolest thing about this to me was simultaneously, as this was going on, they showed the women feuding backstage. So it involved everybody. It was able to spotlight the women and the fact that they have hunger and they have aggression and they have passion while not stepping on the segment that was currently going on in the ring. They were able to do this simultaneously, and it really proved a point to me. And I think it was a really smart way to do that. Roderick Strong versus Kishida ended up with Roderick Strong becoming the new champion. And I'm thrilled about that, and I'm even more thrilled the way he did it. Ivy Nile gets involved. Superwoman punch with those big old arms. Paying dividends already off the bat. So, good stuff. And ended up in Roderick being able to capitalize on Ivy, helping him out on the outside of the ring. He picks up the win. Your new champion there. Good stuff for Diamond Mine. And I love it because this stable is strong. Pun intended, I guess. Okay, the stable is strong. They're just adding and adding every week. I mean, they cover a lot of bases here. You have the men's singles division covered. You have Ivy with the women's singles division covered. And you have the men's tag team division covered with the Creed brothers. Now we're starting off with the lead guy as a champion in the company. And it just makes sense. They are building a very strong faction here. And I love it. Andre Chase. We said we go back to Chase and Baxter. Gonna go back to them. Chase had a segment called Chase U, and automatically I'm happy. Before even words were spoken, when I seen Andre Chase being involved in a segment, I'm thrilled because I am a huge Andre Chase fan. So the fact that he was given something to do that's going to be going somewhere makes me happy. But then on top of that, the segment actually ended up being very entertaining and hilarious. Good to see that WWE is seeing what I've been seeing in Andre Chase as well. The talent, the potential, the charisma. This guy really has something. I'm happy for him. Baxter, he suffered a loss on NXT, but we also got to see a little bit of him and Corajade together who, for all intents and purposes, appear to actually be in a real-life relationship. So we've seen her comforting him backstage, and that was really nice. So it will be nice to see if they get to be together more on screen. Terrible Joe Gacy segment. I have to touch on this. I don't want to go into details. If you watch this, it was extremely uncomfortable. I don't know whose idea this was. This was an extremely terrible idea. Please never do it again. It made me very uncomfortable, and I hated it. But we're going to cap off the video with some good stuff, as we always do. We're going to talk about one last thing, because we're going over 15 minutes here. Okay, so the main event, Ridge Holland, Pete Dunne versus Ciampa and Braun Breaker. And this is the match that actually really, really sold me on Braun Breaker. Okay, first of all, the voice, the look, it's uncanny. He should just be able to use the name Steiner at this point. He even did the I believe he even did the Steiner recliner in the match. The name Braun Breaker, I don't know. To me, it sounds like a piece of electrical equipment. Like, I picture two guys in a warehouse building somewhere, and they can't get something to work. And the one guy's like, I don't know, we tried everything. And the other guy's like, well, did you check the Braun Breaker? I don't know. That's what I think of. I think like a piece of electrical equipment, a Braun Breaker. I don't know. It's a weird name, though. I wish they'd just be called Steiner or Rex Steiner. Would make sense. But this is the match he impressed me, because look who he's in there with. Veterans like Pete Dunne and Ciampa. And this guy did not look like a rookie. He looked like a general instead. There was a lot of points in this match, if you watch closely, where he really took control of this match. And I don't mean on the offense sort of way. I mean, as a veteran sort of way, he did things. He really shined in there. He knew what he was doing. It was very impressive. I was very, very impressed with him. So he's actually, this was the first time for me where the guy's actually starting to look like a main eventer. Him and Ciampa were able to pick up the W, and we are going on over 17 minutes, guys, so I love you, and I hope you have a good week, and we're going to wrap it up here, and I think I covered everything. A lot of stuff going on this week, like I said, big week. I love it. I hope you loved it as much. If you want to talk about anything, any of the 4 shows that I talked about, or anything at all, or if there's some stuff on SmackDown that I didn't talk about that you want to get to there, drop it in the comments section below. I would love your feedback. I apologize for the length of this video. Girls talk. Alright, I love you guys. Have a good week. Love you. See you next week. Bye. Mwah.